Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Now, look, I as a Labor Party person all my life, and a person who visited Israel 3 times earlier on in my career, I noted, the Labor Party was a very big deal in Israel for a long time. Nowadays, it's pretty small. What happened?
I think that too many years that the Israeli Labour Party sat in right-wing governments and cooperated with the right wing while actually not agreeing with the right wing of what is the best way to manage Israel, both economically and conflict-wise, made the people that support the Labour Party lose trust in the Labour Party. And this is why today the Israeli Labour Party refused to be in the Netanyahu coalition, to be in the opposition, to set an alternative to the people of Israel, to suggest other way to manage the conflict with the Palestinian, other way to manage the Israeli economy and social life. And the Labour Party is getting stronger and stronger, both in the last election and in the polls. And I hope that we will create the alternative, a strong enough alternative to win the next election.
Well, when you sit in Australia and you look at the conflict over there, obviously we all hope for a two-state solution. But now you have a cabinet where a majority have already said they do not believe in a two-state solution. How do you get around that?
I think that the majority of the Israelis and the Palestinians support the two-state solution, understand that the two-state solution is the only possible and viable and acceptable solution for Israel and Palestine. I think that you can find extreme elements in the left side and in the right side of Israel and the Palestinians that will promote the one-state solution idea, which is of course disaster both for us and for the Palestinians. And what is needed more than everything today to create a two-state solution is just the courageous leadership, both in the Israeli side and in the Palestinian side, because the majority in the Palestinian parliament, in the Israeli parliament, and in the Israeli and the Palestinian public are totally supportive of the two-state solution idea.
But if you're supportive of two-state solution, how do you agree, or how do you, I just find these settlements staggering. Every time another one is built, it makes that two-state solution harder, does it not?
No, I think that anyone that tell you that the settlement is an obstacle that we cannot overcome if we want to establish a Palestinian state is either lying to you or don't know the fact. I think that if you will take the fact that Israel and the Palestinians will land swap the big blocks of settlements, and then will suggest some of the settlers to be both as, to live both as the residents or as the citizens of the Palestinians' future state, and will ask also to take some of the settlers back home to Israel, like we did in Gaza. I think we will allow a contiguity in the future Palestinian state, and the settlements will not be an obstacle that we will not be able to overcome while creating a Palestinian state that will live peacefully next to Israel.
There's just seems to me to be no hope for what you're asking, the land swaps, etc., as long as Hamas maintains its position, because it doesn't seem to agree with that at all.
No, as long as Hamas keep his position and his deadly agenda against Israel, we will not speak with Hamas. We shouldn't speak with Hamas. We see Hamas cut from the same tree that ISIS and Al-Nusra and other deadly barbaric terror organizations are cut from. As long Hamas will not make the shift that the Fatah and the PLO made many years ago, and this is to understand that you cannot object and resist Israel violently, but you have to deal with this diplomatically and to negotiate with Israel, and until they will not understand that and will talk to Israel via missiles and terror tunnels, there will be no hope to Hamas and no hope to the people in Gaza. But I truly believe that the majority of Palestinians are not Hamas. The majority of Palestinians understand that Hamas is a terror organization and not an organization or a government that they want to manage their life in Gaza. And as soon as the Palestinians will understand it, and as soon as Israel will be able to strengthen Abbas and talk with Abbas and not with Hamas, we will find the right partners in the other side in order to continue forward with a peace agreement between the two sides.
But given this recent conflict and the numbers of Palestinians who died in Gaza, and it's a massive number compared to the number of Israelis who died, don't you think you create within that place in Gaza where Hamas are in charge, don't you just create more and more opposition to yourself, more and more suicide bombers, more and more warriors for the cause.
Yeah, definitely. But first, I have to remind you that all the dead people in the Gaza, in the Palestinian side, are definitely on the head of Hamas. Hamas is the only elected government in the world that, in the same time, he is a formal, recognized terror organization. Israel withdrew unilaterally in a very inner, painful action for the Israeli society, turned people away from their homes, evacuated all the settlers and all the army from Gaza, only in order to give Hamas a chance to govern Gaza and maybe to make it the next Singapore of the Middle East. But Hamas, not wisely, chose to spend billions of dollars and 800,000 tons of cement only in build this terror undercity and to create missiles. Not $1 went to the benefit of the people in Gaza. Not 1 kilo of cement was used to build hospitals, shelters, affordable housing, schools in Gaza. And this is why the responsibility is on the head of Hamas and the way they choose to govern Gaza. If they will decide to change their ways, Israel will be more than happy to cooperate in order to create a different Gaza, a better Gaza for the Gazan people. But this is not up to the Israelis to decide. This is up to the Palestinian citizens that live in Gaza to decide. And we know that they cannot act freely because Hamas is probably will shoot their head like he did with some of the guys in Gaza that tried to suggest that maybe Hamas is not the best thing for Gaza. But again, Israel is here to try and live peacefully, both with the Palestinians in the West Bank and both with Gaza, but we should have a partner in the other side to make peace with. I think that Abu Mazen is definitely a partner. Hamas, Hania, Mashal and the other terrorists are definitely not the partner.
Hilik Bar, can I just ask you, does Israel still fear a nuclear Iran?
Yeah, definitely Israel would not like to see a nuclear Iran, and Israel is suspicious, not like other countries, about the goodwill of the Iranians to dismantle themselves from the nuclear facilities that they are having. We really hope that the world will be able to be in the point of no return, that we will not come over it, and will be able to locate the moment that Iran will not be able to actually have nuclear power, because this will not be only the problem of Israel. This will be the problem of the American, of the Australian, and of the entire Western world. So we are not from those elements who believe in the intentions of the good intentions of Iran, and we will do everything needed to convince the world that a nuclear Iran is a huge danger for the free world.
Well, may I ask you then, what about the spring, you know, that great Arab Spring? It's now collapsed. Libya's a disaster. Iraq's a disaster. Egypt is in all sorts of trouble. What does this mean for Israel?
Well, Israel is not intervening with what happened inside other Arab countries. We are following it. We hope that the best thing will happen to them. I think that in some of the places people demanded better life, less tyranny, and this is a good thing that happened. Of course, that unfortunately in most of these cases there is also evil forces that are trying to get power and not necessarily to go to the more democratic and free way of living. But we are following it very closely, hoping that it will not slide toward the Israeli direction, to our borders, and will do everything, of course, to protect from phenomena that will be caused because of the Arab Spring toward Israel, bad phenomena.
Hilik Bar, I want to thank you for your time. You're obviously in I think it's a fascinating but very, very dangerous place in which you live. I've been there, as I said, 3 times, and I look forward to seeing you there again very soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.